today, but that's okay. Let's
We're a
see
little
what we
early,
got.
a couple of seconds.
Okay, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglosh for the WDMA, and we've got a big announcement today, which we'll be covering right after the fun starts. So let's get over to the fun and hear about Bring Back Bounty, okay? And I'm not going to play the whole thing, but Bounty belongs in the bin. Bounty. And I recognize all these guys: Twix, Mars, Snickers, Bounty. Apparently there's a celebration brand that manages all these brands, but Bounty must be just a UK thing. I don't remember the Bounty bar. Apparently it's coconut covered with chocolate, kind of like a Mounds bar, I guess. Anyway, so the Bounty bar is a bit despondent because people are talking about canceling the Bounty Bar from this lineup of very, very noteworthy brands, especially Snickers. So the Bounty Bar packs up and runs away. And the weird music here. Let's turn down the music. Anyway, going solo, and then someone picks him up, and then he sees on TV that they're looking for him. He's missing. The Bounty Bar is missing. Bring back Bounty. We love Bounty. Come home, Bounty. And so then he ends up going back to the Christmas celebration. That was a Snickers bar. And here's the Bounty, and here's I don't know what that red one is. There's Snickers, which we recognize. It looks like M&M's. Yeah, I suppose M&M's Mars. You don't know what you've got till it's gone. Join the debate to bring back Bounty. Okay, and it's all that. It's just text over with music. So the music is not very much. I'm hoping they have a logo at the end, but I guess they don't. Celebration is down in the right-hand corner. So anyway, they decided to try and start a viral campaign. This was a takeoff on the the multinational food giant has anthropomorphized its chocolate bar to hug on the heartstrings of consumers to help bring back Bounty. Okay. And so anyway, the idea was to kind of a takeoff on some of the John Lewis ads that they do every Christmas, which we'll be featuring soon. And tear-jerking happy ending when Bounty is reunited with his celebration stablemates. So the Bring Back Bounty hashtag is something you can tweet about, and I don't think we could even buy them, but it was a weird way to rejuvenate a brand, and so I thought I would feature that. Now, back to this. I also have another announcement that we're going to do. Let me see if I can figure out how to find that. Okay, let's go over here. Okay, so yesterday on the show, I was talking about John Schulte and the National Mail Order Association. And so he called me this morning. I said, John, I can't talk right now. I got to get ready for the show. But anyway, so watch this. John and I have been talking about working together for a long time, and there hasn't been much activity on the National Mail Order Association right here, nmoa.org. So let's see what comes up. If you go to nma.org, he said he was going to fix it. No, this is something else. This is somebody referring to it. But if we just type in, if I can figure out where to type it in. Okay, if I can just type in the bare bones name. This is opera or something, and it's hard to get it. Okay, so I got it typed in. And guess what it takes you to? The WDMA website. So how cool is that? John does have, I confirmed it again today, John does have a booklet produced in World War II by USPS on how to run associations just by mail. and how to engage and continue a dialogue with your association members. So John's going to show me that. We're hopefully going to, he's got like a direct mail museum up in Minnesota. And so we're going to somehow figure out how to get some of that onto the WDMA, and maybe we'll give the NMOA we'll give it its own place in the site for archives and stuff, or maybe we'll produce an NMOA website. That's not that hard. We'll probably do that. Okay. So anyway, I wanted you to see that. Okay. Midterm election coverage, TV coverage down 30%, down 30% across 13 networks. You know, I love it. It's down 29.6. Well, just round it and say 30%. But anyway, they think it gives it more credibility. So out of home was included and cable TV, but I watched all my results on the New York Times. It's just what I always do. I have a login there to get at the election results. I highly recommend it. It gives you a lot of insights and a real-time approach. I also would like to say that whoever's running the Arizona election should be forever banned from public office. Oh, wait. Did you say that the person running the election is running for governor? Well, you know, Katie, I got to say, if this is the way you run things, you should graciously concede just on this basis. I noticed that your results went up a bit at 70%, and it hasn't changed in like 24 hours. You know, just because you stop when you're ahead does not mean you win. This isn't the NFL where the refs control everything. We have to get the real results. So anyway, just my own note on that. I also like this one. Nielsen says 43% watch broadcast network while 57% watch coverage on cable networks. I was on the internet. New York Times is the best site. And the strongest demographic viewers were ages 55 and older, 65%, which totaled 16.6 million. You know, but what you really want to know is what percentage of the demographic group watched the election. I know it's not a big number, because anyway. So there you go. That's the right thing to compare to, right? Not that most of the viewers were this age, but how many of that age were viewers anyway. Okay, now I want to talk about, this is a wonderful article by Melanie May, and in fundraising.co.uk, secrets of a successful direct mail campaign. Let's see if I got the right, I hope I got the right article. Yeah, I do. Okay. That didn't work. Okay. And the first, so she's got 3 campaigns run by 3 different charities. This is the Marie Curie. That's the article. That's at the end of the article. But just want you to see this. Please support Nurses Appeal 2022. And 3 charities are going to tell their story in this article. And remember, the articles are always available at wdma.org. And, you know, it's refreshing to finally see someone talk about the success of a campaign. Now, this isn't, none of these were success compared to control, which is my big thing. My hobby horse is you always have to get the incremental lift of a particular creative approach and say, did this much better? But if your approaches are timely, you know, like right now, I can't tell you how this show would have compared to a whole different set of topics on the same day, because I'm not going to do another show, and I'm not going to do it at the same time live as I do this one. This is not possible. So you have to do your best, right? Okay. So, but the first one that's really talked about is St. Barnabas Hospice. Okay. And St. Barnabas, I'll go over here, see if this works. St. Barnabas commissioned an, oops. Go up here a notch. St. Barnabas commissioned this ironwork. This is the ironwork right here. Okay, right here. This is an ironwork that presumably moves a little bit, maybe in the wind, and they can stick in the ground, okay? And but you know, it wasn't too clear what this was about, so they commissioned an artist to, and apparently it's associated with a cathedral, and it says Hearts at the Cathedral. Excuse me. Ugh. I'm not dying, I just get heartburn. Okay, and they commissioned an artist to put the hearts in the place where they were thinking of putting some of them, with a picture of the cathedral, and it became, they put it on the cover, and on the front cover and on the inside, and people liked it so much they said, can I get a picture of that painting, right? And so they offered it for sale, or to people that asked. They made a miniature version of they scanned the painting and then they made a miniature version of it, and they raised £1,000 beyond what they had expected. Okay, so you know, wonderful serendipity there, and people just really liked the way they put the Forever in Our Hearts connected with the ironwork commemorating 40 years and the setting of the cathedral. Point is, you can do a lot of creative stuff with mail. Okay, now let's get back to the article. We were preparing to launch an in-memory ironwork appeal included in a display. And I don't quite understand this, and it's hard to read it, you know, at this little size. We had very little imagery other than the photos of the prototype ironwork. Okay, so, and maybe, you know, maybe these work something like headstones with people's name on them in an area that's unused. I think that's what they did. So they went to a local artist and asked him to paint an interpretation of what the display would look like. The end result was more than we could have ever hoped for. He painted a large canvas which was simply beautiful. We were able to scan the painting at our local printers and use it within our mailing. Cool. Okay. Our supporters loved how the painting was used in the mailing. They asked if they could purchase £1,000. Okay. And I thought there was more about how much they total raised, but I don't see it. Okay. Then this one was the Woodland Trust. And they were, you know, they had planned to send this out. It had been mailing. I think they were going to remail it in spring of 2020, but then COVID hit and they decided not to do it, which was probably a mistake. Probably we were all sitting around looking for something to look at. But they did put it out something like June or July of 2020. This is our 2020 insert. Our best performing insert in some time. See, people were sitting around looking for something to look at. For summer of 2020, we amended the text to highlight how important woods and outdoor spaces were for all of us over this period. But we didn't want to make too much of it about the pandemic, even though that was about the best thing you could do to survive, was get out in the fresh air and go for walks. I don't know if you saw this. I just saw a headline. You know, I read a lot of headlines about how Sweden, which was one of the few countries that had no lockdowns, didn't close their schools. I don't know if they did the masks or whatever, but they are one of the lowest. What they're looking at now is they're looking at the overall death rate. And what they're seeing is a lot of countries have a surprisingly high overall death rate, even if it isn't COVID. And it may be a consequence of COVID, or it may be a consequence of the cure of COVID. Well, that remains to be seen. But Sweden, which largely ignored all the expert advice and just went on with life, seemed to have done the best of almost every country there is. But anyway, this one does give you the results, which I like. We forecast 508 memberships from this activity, which we thought was incredibly optimistic, but we received 666, 158 over target, with a cost per member of £196 and an ROI of 53%. Well done, well done. And I just don't see enough case studies like this, and I really appreciate the case studies. And here's a going back to that first image that I showed you. Marie Curie nurses appeal was direct mailed in May this year to 140,000 warm supporters throughout the UK. And the mail pack included a collectible coaster, so it had a three-dimensional element, an illustrated image of Shanoa, Joby, and Victoria, who all share their stories in the mailing. The pinstripe design from the Marie Curie nurse uniform was used, and it was hoped that the pack would have its own recognized identity going forward. This is a big deal here. Okay, note, wake up. If you're just playing this in the background, pay attention to this. Included was a tick box on the donation form to allow responders to indicate whether they would benefit from a larger font version of the charity's letters. We talk about personalization. Every day, personalization is essential. Personalization is essential. What do? We change a few pictures maybe, right? Or we segment our list a little bit. But we rarely do anything that really benefits anybody. The Billy Graham Association, years back, asked me to do a review of some 40 or 50 or 100 ads that might have been more than that, ads that they'd been running for their annuity division. And the best running ad at the time was, "The state will make your will." And it explained how if you don't have a will, the state will give you one, and it'll decide where your money goes. And that may not be where you want it to go. And, of course, it wouldn't go to the Billy Graham Association if the state wrote your will. So they were trying to get up front on this thing and explain how annuities could work and have you send for more information. But one thing we found out that was shocking, these were just small size ads about this big, in the Billy Graham monthly magazine. And these ads, if the typeface was 8 point or less, maybe it was less than 8 point, if they tried to squeeze too much into the ad, the lead results went to zero, or almost zero. It wasn't linear. If you made it big type, didn't necessarily generate more leads, but it just went along and then thunk off the edge of the cliff. It went to nothing. This is one of the most important things I've ever seen in any article. Included was a tick box on the donation form. Just a simple, if you're going to make a donation or not, just mail this back and we'll make sure you get a big type version. That's profound. It's just so wonderful that they took into account this one little element. Probably got a lot of complaints. Probably for years they've been getting complaints. I have trouble reading your mailings, or I have trouble reading your website. There you go. This, I hope you made it to the end, because if you work across geodemographics, and if you're in catalogs, your demographic is getting older and older and older. Let's see I just got this beautiful Helmicker Schlemmer catalog yesterday, and I was looking around on it. Very small type. Very, very small type. That's something for you, Anne-Marie. Anne-Marie told me that she knows somebody that could get me a special discount. She's great. She's one of my favorite clients of all time. Anyway, but that type's getting a little fine. It might be interesting to do a test with just a little lower product density. If you can, I know, most of you are buying geodemographic data appending age, for example. Have an older age version. Test it. I'm not saying do it. Test it. It's a black plate change, for heaven's sakes. It's nothing to do. You can, and if it works, you can do more. You could have a QR code in the item and take you to a website with big print. It's special. You could have 2 sets of QR codes for each item. An in-depth for the young people and a big print version for us oldsters. Okay. Anyway, a free text area, also a great idea for charities, was also added to the donation form to allow supporters to send messages of thanks back to the nurses. The team was delighted to receive lots of lovely messages from our supporters. which we shared with the nurses. Isn't that great? You may not be able to give a lot, but maybe you can send a word of encouragement or tell a story about how you were helped by these nurses. There's the bottom line. The nurses' appeal exceeded targets across the board, raising more than £390,000, beating net income. Net income is how they talk about profitability, I think, by 36%. Okay, so well done. The nurses' appeal story told the story of multiple Marie Curie nurses and healthcare assistants, touching on memorable moments about their roles and the people they support. The PAC emphasized the importance of our supporters as an integral part of the Marie Curie family, and I believe that allowing supporters to feel connected to the nursing staff makes a big difference. I thought the inclusion of an illustrated coaster was a particularly lovely touch and really brought the PAC together. Hot dog, how great is that? Okay, I reached out to Melanie May. I put a picture in there that got taken away by the publisher. So Melanie, thank you for that. We rarely get an article as great as that one. Have a great day. Like and share. Your friends will know